And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, once again to another special edition of the ETBU Sportsnet Coaches Show, presented by our sponsors at Marshall Hometown Tire. Please give them a shout out if you can, and maybe if you need your tires fixed, go down to Marshall Hometown Tire. Anyways, folks, we're here with our head women's basketball coach, Rusty Rainbolt, who I'm sure I was kind of hoping we put off this interview for quite some time, depending on how far the team played. But this is kind of our season recap interview with the head coach, Rusty Rainbolt, as well. So, Coach Rainbolt, never a good time to talk about this, especially, you kind of hope your team would play on longer. But obviously, hard-fought effort in the ASC tournament. Unfortunately, you came up a little bit short, and kind of talk about just the feelings of the team, especially after the last game.
Yeah, well, it was heartbreaking. I would be lying if I said anything other than that. There was a lot of tears shed from a lot of different people. The amazing young ladies in that locker room, the coaches, the athletic training staff, the parents and the fans. We had the band that was there, and they're part of our team. We love our band and the cheer and the palm. I mean, there was a lot of emotion and investment put into this team this year with some really, really high expectations, and it didn't work out the way we wanted, but such is life at times. And so, it was losing that last game was probably one of the most difficult things in sports I've ever experienced as a player or a coach, just because I know for me and my wife and my children personally, we've never been as invested in a group of girls in every way as what we were. I mean, we love those girls. We love them. And they will always be family to us. They'll always be part of the ETBU family. And so it was hard seeing that thing come to an end, especially the way it did, where we didn't play as well as what we wanted to. We played pretty well, just the ball would not go in the hole, and that's what's weird about the game of basketball. It's just very humbling that, great players at times just can't find a way to get that thing go in the hole. And I'm a golfer, and I love to play, and then sometimes you're up there just putting, and it will not go in the hole. And so, I told my wife this afterwards. She's like, I just cannot stand how this feels. It just hurts so bad. And it's like, well, when you're invested as much as those girls and the coaches and our families, our wives and our children and, the fans are, it's going to hurt. If you're not invested, it doesn't hurt. Failure doesn't hurt. And so that just shows how much this team meant to all of us, that it hurt the way it did. But, we have so many things to be proud of. I mean, there were a lot of really amazing things that come out of this season. It just didn't end the way we wanted it to. But God is good. Before the season, God gave me the theme for the year, which was coming out of Matthew 17 of faith that can move mountains. And we had a lot of mountains in front of us this year, from injuries to life to loss of family members to sickness, cancer and all kinds of stuff. And there were a lot of mountains that were put in front of us this year as a team. And so all year long, just through all the ups and downs and the struggles, we just kept trying to remind ourselves of the word that the Lord gave us of faith that can move mountains. And so even now in this moment, Kendrick and Amanda were sitting in the office yesterday, and we were watching the selection show, and it's just like, does not feel right. Like, it just feels not the way it was supposed to. It's not the way we saw it in our hearts and our minds, and it's not the plan we had. But even in this moment, we have to rejoice in God's goodness. He is a loving Father that has saved us from the depth of hell, and we have to continue to operate in faith that His plan is bigger than ours, His ways are greater than ours, and that is enough. It is enough. And so I was talking to my father-in-law on Sunday, and he said, the impact that is made in the lives of these girls and how lives are being transformed for the kingdom, any parent that would be caught up in playing time or points or wins over the investment that's being made in these girls and the way these girls are growing, they would be missing the mark. And for one young lady to get saved and ETBU and the women's basketball team and the experience that they've had here to afford them the opportunity to come to know Christ, that one salvation is far more eternally valuable than, 4 championships in a row. And it's hard for us to remember that in the moment because we're so, self-centered, but that's the truth. And so what we do here, and you know this, you're a part of it, is we are truly about advancing the gospel, sharing the love of Jesus, and our conditions, our provision, the things that he blesses us with can never be a reflection of his goodness. It just can't. I mean, he is good no matter what. And sometimes we win and sometimes we lose and sometimes we play and sometimes we don't. But either way, God is good. And so I think that's the thing that we just want to continue to believe in and step into and walk in is this program, this university, our walk as believers is just, it's so much bigger than winning a game, so.
And I think what makes this so heartbreaking, obviously, is the fact that the senior class this year, I mean, they were really the biggest instrumental part to the success of that. You've had a couple of them that were on the team the year before you got here, or one of them at least, and then you had some great success, bringing them to 3 straight tournaments in a row, winning the championship as well. I mean, this was really the most instrumental core that you've ever had at ETBU basketball, and certainly this was the core that should deserve a lot of credit for bringing ETBU from what I call the cellar after winning 3 games the year before to where it is right now, becoming at least a legitimate threat to contend for ASC championships for at least years to come. And that certainly is definitely going to be a bar of expectation for the next group of players that come through to try to live up to.
For sure. 4 of our 6 seniors were here that first year whenever me and Coach Henson took over, and 4 of those 6 seniors were instrumental in taking a team that had been 3-22 the year before to being 25-7 ASC champs in the Elite 8. And those 4 seniors in their 3 years here have amassed 60, 70, 73 wins, I guess it is. And so for a team that was the worst team in the league the year before, only won 3 games and had a really bad culture, to what those 4 girls have accomplished, and our 2 transfer seniors with Bianca and Kendrick being added to that, I mean, they have transformed a program. And so many times people just get so caught up in the moment that they fail to see the big picture of what investment those girls have done. And they've changed the basketball side up to winning and losing, but they have changed the culture. They have put ETBU on the map nationally. Lives have been transformed because of the amazing representation of Christ in those girls. And so I am so proud of those girls. And again, when you judge somebody, wait till the end of the story to be able to look at it. But man, what those girls did through their 3 years here is phenomenal. And the good thing is, they're all 6 of those girls are beautiful, beautiful young women that make people better. We didn't sell our souls to just take kids that can help win but are terrible people. We have stripped away all that stuff and made sure that the heart postures of the young ladies that are here and stick with it, that they're doing it for the right reason. That's the thing that we're the most proud of is, there's a lot of people that are winning and they're doing it despite maturity and despite growth and despite investment. Coaches are playing players and keeping players and taking players just for the sake of winning, but we're not going to do that. It's just not what we're about. And so we want to win as much as anybody, but we're not going to do it at all costs. It's got to be bigger than the win. It's got to be about him. And all 6 of these girls and all 18 of our players this year truly reflect the love of Jesus and the heart of Jesus. But man, those seniors, they're going to be missed.
Yeah, certainly, Coach. Now, this year, I feel like if there was a theme for the season as well, obviously you had your theme with Faith in Mountains, but I feel like if there was like an unofficial theme, it was a land of opportunity, because you had some players coming off the bench and contributing in various ways. I mean, you think back to what Paige Royal did, what Molly Daniel did, what Missy Kilo did, and, just all the players that really had to earn their stripes throughout the week of practice. That gives me any sort of inkling that, hey, you know what, this program's still heading in the right direction. They're still on top, because you have players now that obviously give them another year or so, they'll definitely prove to be big factors, at least for the next year. And then, of course, the next class that comes in definitely will look to continue to push those players to potentially be the best that they can be.
Well, you're right about that. We have had some highlight moments from a lot of different girls this year, off and on sporadically. But we're in uncharted territory right now as a program, and we met with the team yesterday as we took up gear and kind of had our end-of-season meeting and talked to the team. We are in uncharted territory because for all of us that came in the same year, we don't know life at ETBU without Amanda Wilson, and we don't know life without Kim Childress or April Matthews or Tati Lacey. And so there is a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of question marks, and that can be fear-based, and that can be like, man, everything, the boat is rocking and everything's uncertain. But you know what also can be? Opportunity, like you said. And for all, there's 12 girls that have the potential of coming back, and we'll see how all that works out. But for any of those young ladies that are returning, the ones that want it the most want their time to step in and continue on and build to the legacy that Amanda and Kim and Kendrick and have built. Any of those returners have the best opportunity right now, because we're losing all of our scoring, we're losing all of our rebounding, all of our leadership. We're losing everything for the most part. So in times like this, when you really have lost foundational pillars of your program, that's why you recruit every year. And we've got young ladies like Anna Moss that we're super excited. It's now her time, and Mallory Stevens, that it's her time, and our two seniors of Mallory and Haley for next year, and Taylor Singleton, like Hannah Hudson, it's their time. And what they make of it over the next 7.5 months will be really, really important in how the start of the season goes next year. But it's a little bit of a nervous time, and I've told them that, like, hey, where we're at as a team right now is not set to win a championship next year, because there's uncertainty, and so the opportunity that those ladies have is to build their legacy on top of what has already been built, and say, we'll take this program to the next level and not let it go down a level. And I think that with Anna and Mal and Hannah and Taylor, I think we've got some amazing young women that have the leadership to do it. It's just, will they put in the work every single day and step into a new role? That's how that is. It's when your role goes from what it was to what now it's got to be. That's a lot different pressure and mindset. But I think these girls are ready, and I think they're going to be willing to work and get after it and honor the Lord and do it the right way.
Yeah. Well, like you said, obviously this season, even despite the outcome, has been really one to enjoy, to say the least. Third straight 20-win seasons. But in the midst of all that, you had some memorable highlights. I mean, you had like a 90-point game against, I believe, a team, I think it was Blackburn College, to say the least. And then, Kendrick Clark makes #1, top 10 SportsCenter's top 10 plays as well. You got to coach a game in a wheelchair, to say the least, and in a cane. Don't think I forgot about that.
Absolutely. But, you didn't even tell anybody about the fact that the wheelchair was a product of me scoring a touchdown in the intramural game, and then they asked me to play defense, and I had to fake an injury because I'm not about defense. Coach Henson's the defensive guru. I'm all about scoring. So.
Well, obviously there was that as well. But when you think back to this season, is there any one particular moment that stands out? I mean, whether it's a game or like a practice or something, a team bonding activity. Is there any one moment that stands out about this team that really was a true defining point for the season?
Yeah. The defining thought for me of this team this year would definitely come not in necessarily a single moment, but the recurring moment of, no matter the highs or the lows, our team always went back to prayer. And people may not understand that, but you want to. A lot of time people want to say, "Hey, well, the thing I remember most is the SportsCenter shot the Kendrick hit." We had a lot of amazing plays this year. When we played at George Fox, at San Antonio, played George Fox the second game of the year, we had lost Taylor, our starting point guard, and Kim Childress had the most amazing game I've seen in a long time on every facet of the game. I remember that. But the thing about this team will not be defined by the wins and losses and the basketball part of it, but it'll be Kim Childress telling the team in a team meeting, man, we need to be praying about this topic we were talking about. And Kendrick Clark going in the conference tournament for the 2 weeks before the conference tournament saying, Coach, can we have discipleship every day? Can we pray before every game in a different way? And the whole week of the conference tournament and up there, it's just like we spent so much time praying for our opponents, praying for the young ladies we're playing against, and the coaches we're playing against, and the officials, praying for safe travels. That will be the legacy of this group of girls, is that they worked really hard as players. They achieved a lot. 4 of these girls got to win a championship. But the thing that will define them is the fact that they never, ever put anything above the most important thing, and that is staying connected to the Lord. And as a coach, as a friend, as a father, man, you got to be proud of that. As a parent, you got to be proud of that. Like, what these kids gain in terms of realizing, man, when times are good, let's give the Lord thanks. When times are tough, let's give the Lord thanks. We're never gonna break apart. We're never gonna get caught up in all the drama. We're not gonna go out and do what all the other programs are doing in terms of the partying and drinking and crazy lifestyles. Our girls just didn't do that. They chose to do something differently, and that's, to me, what people behind the scenes won't know. But that's, to me, what defines this group of girls, is how much prayer covering they put over our opponents. You know what? When other teams are wanting to be angry and think of them as the enemy, our girls are like, man, we just want their hearts to be transformed. And that was from Kendrick Clark, our senior captain, to Gracie Stevens, one of our freshmen. Everybody in between, we'd be in times and we'd be, all of a sudden the Spirit just moved to pray for this girl, pray for that girl, pray for this team, or pray for that coach, or pray for the officials, or pray for our fans, pray for our president. That's just good stuff. And if college is about education, a life education and an academic education, man, I think these girls, they did a good job of growing and being educated this year and learning and evolving. So, pretty neat stuff. And you've got to be a part of some of that, Sam. You see the behind-the-scenes stuff, and it's just different.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And as always, Coach, great time to talk to you as well. And obviously, the future of the basketball program seems pretty bright, but you never know. Obviously, we'll look and wait and see what next year brings. But once again, Coach, from the bottom of my heart, I truly want to thank you for outstanding times, talking to your interview, and just getting to see the transformation of this team growing from a team on the rise to a team that really had to push other teams as well, especially in a tight ASC conference, because it's probably going to be a wide open conference in the future.
I appreciate that a lot, and we appreciate you guys. I mean, y'all are the best SID staff out there. We have the best athletic training staff here. They just do an amazing job. This university is amazing. We have the best athletic director and the best provost and the best president, and just this place is special. And you know that if you're working here, but it's just like we're all a family. And we always, I'm just very thankful for what we get to do and the way we get to go about it, of just being authentic about why we do what we do. And, our men's staff, Coach Curran and those guys, man, they had such an amazing year. Me and my wife and daughter sat there and watched that game, and our hearts just broke seeing that play out the way it did, because those guys are amazing. I couldn't ask for a better friend to get to spend the year with Coach Curran and his guys, and it's just an amazing year. It's an amazing place, and I know as a parent, you'd be crazy not to want your child in this environment, because it's just, they're going to grow and be better people, and so, but very thankful for all that, and thankful for you guys.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Coach. And, oh man, I thought I was going to cry there, but fortunately I had to hold the tears back as well. But enjoy your March Madness, Coach, as well.
Absolutely.
And that's going to do it with head coach Rusty Rainbolt, the ETB women's basketball team. Stay tuned, folks, because next time on the ETB Sportsnet Coaches Show, presented by Marshall Hometown Tire, we will have our next head coach. Stay tuned.